Hey everyone, Zane here. And today we're diving into something that should have been a feel-good headline, but actually exposes a much bigger problem. Yes, federal workers are finally getting their back pay from their sent government shutdown. A lot of news outlets are framing this as a victory. Workers get their money. Government makes things right, but let's be honest, back pay doesn't undo the damage. It doesn't erase the stress, the sleepless nights, the missed bills, the overdraft fees, the broken trust, or the fact that hundreds of thousands of families were basically used as bargaining chips in a political chess match. Today, we're breaking down what this back pay really means, why it's not the happy ending some think it is, and how shutdowns have become a political tactic that hurts the same people every time. Let's get into it. The back pay finally hits, but it's complicated. So here's what happened. Federal workers who missed paychecks during the shutdown are now receiving lump sum back pay. On paper, that sounds like justice being served. You worked, you get paid. But the timing matters. People didn't get this money when rent was due. They didn't have it when credit card bills hit. They didn't have it when inflation is already pushing every expense higher. Let's be real. Back pay is not a refund. It's not a reward. It's simply wages workers were already owed, delivered late because the government decided political posturing was more important than running the country. Shutdowns don't just stop paychecks, they break stability. Here's the real problem. Shutdowns like the last one don't just delay money. They create instability. And instability is expensive. Think about it. A missed paycheck can trigger overdraft fees. Late rent can harm credit scores. Missed utilities can lead to deposits or reconnection fees. Some families took out payday loans with insane interest. People dipped into savings they can't easily replace. And none of that gets reimbursed. No back pay check includes a line for, "Here's what the shutdown cost you." Shutdowns force workers into survival mode. That's the emotional damage that doesn't heal just because a deposit finally showed up. The mental toll, and why workers don't forget. Let's talk about trust. When your employer doesn't pay you, even if it's not their choice, it changes how you see your job. Federal workers spent weeks wondering, will I be able to pay rent? Do I need a second job? Should I leave federal service entirely? What if this happens again? These aren't dramatic reactions. Shutdowns are unpredictable. They can last days, weeks, months, and they're becoming more frequent. Some families stopped spending altogether. Others stockpiled food. People told their kids, "We can't afford Christmas this year." These are things a back pay check doesn't erase. The bigger issue, shutdowns are now a political strategy. Here's where things get ugly. Shutdowns used to be rare. Now they're a bargaining tactic. Politicians know the government won't function without a budget. They know federal workers will suffer the most, and they use that pressure as leverage. The shutdown wasn't about making government more efficient. It wasn't about fiscal responsibility. It wasn't even about the workers, obviously. It was about political positioning, and the people who keep the country running. TSA agents, food safety inspectors, federal clerks, park employees, IRS workers became collateral damage. Government employees shouldn't be pawns in a negotiation, but that's exactly what they were. What this means going forward. Even though back pay has landed, the long-term consequences are real. Workers are less likely to trust leadership. Recruitment into federal jobs gets harder. Morale drops across entire agencies. Talent leaves for private sector stability. Families start planning for the next shutdown because they've been trained to expect one. Shutdowns don't just pause the government. They cheapen the value of public service. Not just financially, but symbolically. Imagine telling someone to take pride in serving their country, and then telling them, "But your paycheck might get frozen if Congress gets into another argument." Why this should be a turning point. This situation should be a warning, a wake-up call, a line in the sand. Because here's the truth. Back pay is not a solution. It's a band-aid on a bullet wound. The real solution is preventing shutdowns from being used as political weapons in the first place. There are proposals out there. Automatic continuing resolutions, mandatory funding protections, but they never gain traction because shutdowns give one side leverage. And when leverage exists, Someone will eventually use it. But it shouldn't come at the expense of millions of Americans who rely on a functioning government. Final thoughts. So yes, federal workers are finally getting their back pay. That's good. That's necessary. But it's not the end of the story. Shutdowns leave scars. Financial, emotional, and institutional. And unless Congress finds a better way to negotiate budgets, this cycle will repeat again, and again, and again. Workers deserve better. Taxpayers deserve better. The country deserves better. But what do you think? Should shutdowns even be allowed as a political tactic? Does back pay make things right? Or is it too little, too late? Let me know in the comments. And as always, stay informed, stay aware, and stay sharp. I'll see you in the next one.